We are somewhat, Patrick, the embodiment of the American dream. When we started our company in 1989, my father sold his life insurance policies, my parents, and we borrowed the money, $60,000 from his best friend, whose middle name was Franklin, to start the company on a wing and a prayer in a one-room office. And here we are 31 years later, eclipsing $6 billion in sales without a customer complaint, maintaining an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. We're one of only 27 U.S. Mint authorized resellers. Our reputation is something I'm most proud of because literally, since I was 19 years old, this has been my labor of love. And my father is retired, but still my partner. And our main focus, although still help people with Swiss investments, is precious metals. And I have looked at it for the last 31 years, not as investments, but as wealth. To me, gold and silver, if I could encapsulate our mentality at Miles Franklin and why precious metals, it's wealth to me. It's been wealth for 5,000 years. And when I started the company with my father as a 19-year-old, he said to me, Andy, there'll be one rule and only one rule. And if you violate that one rule, I'll fire you. Okay, Dad, what's that one rule? He says, you'll buy something every 2 weeks, period. And that's it, when you get paid. Okay, Dad, I can deal with that. So here we are 31 years later, Patrick, and honoring the why gold, this is the reason why. For 31 years, every 2 weeks, I have bought something, gold or silver, something, platinum or palladium, whatever. And I look back over those 31 years, and even though I own the company and I'm the president, my dad's retired, he's not going to fire me any longer, I've honored my word to him. And for every 2 weeks for 31 years, I have never missed a purchase, ever. And to me, when I look back over all of the stuff that I've accumulated, it's not an investment to me. It's my wealth, and wealth that I hope I never need to use. And if I do, I'm damn glad I have it. If not, I give it to my kids someday. So to me, that's what precious metals is. And the why precious metals, that's why. It's wealth. And I go to bed at night, although too late these days, feeling really good about helping people purchase wealth. And while some may look at it as an investment, to me, it's been wealth for 5,000 years, whether it be kings, queens, pharaohs, emperors, find it in the Bible. To me, it is really the best way to save, preserve, and pass on wealth, and has been really for, a long, long time. So that's the why part of it. And well, the how part of it still kind of amazes me that I found my way here talking to you today from where the humble beginnings we started from. Since February of 2020, and I'm not joking on this, I'm truly, truly being honest. Since last February, and thank goodness to that, we have been working 18, 20-hour days, 18 for sure, 7 days a week. We are as busy as anything I could even try to explain to someone, and it doesn't let up. And, when you start a company in a one-room office by selling your life insurance policies and borrowing $60,000 from a friend and having strong fingertips to hang on through the lean years, when you see something like this, I don't believe this market, even in the run-up to 1980, I don't think this market's experienced anything like this. The level of demand is off the charts, and it's a blessing. It's also, when you say not sleeping, it's true, Patrick. I start my day at 6:37 in the morning. I go to bed at 2 in the morning, just about every single night, no matter how hard I try to do otherwise. I'm personally getting between 400 and 600 emails a day, 100 plus phone calls a day, every day. And I'm just one person. I have our brokers are doing the same thing, and we're hiring more people. We're doing our best to keep up. And it's a blessing. I get it. It's also extraordinarily eye-opening. And what's interesting, Patrick, about this is that if you go back and draw a line, a timeline, if we go back to 1980, that was the last time we saw the Dow and the price of gold cross at 1-to-1. And back then, no one ever wanted Dow stocks. They wanted gold coins and silver dollars. And as we migrate 40 years to the beginning of 2020, before COVID really showed itself, let's go December 2020. At that point, there was 0.5% allocation to US-based investments in precious metals. In 1980, it was 8%. So from 8% in 1980 to 0.5% in 2020. And that's from Joe Sixpack on the street all the way up to the Harvard Endowment Fund and everything in between, 0.5%. Now, in statistics, very often the further away you get from long-term averages, the greater the magneticism that pulls you back to the mean. The mean over the 40-year period is 2.5%. And I would argue since 2020, since COVID, we have begun to migrate to the mean. Maybe it's at 1% now, maybe it's at 1.5%. And when I say 1 or 1.5, I mean if all of the investments in this country were totaled, everyone has maybe 1% of their assets cumulatively, on average, invested in precious metals. Now, that 1% would be a double of anything the industry's ever seen. But what if we get to that mean of 2.5%? Maybe we're closer to that than I think. That's a 5-fold increase in demand. And you're hearing all around the globe, from ocean to ocean and everywhere in between, places are running out of bullion. I would argue we are getting closer to that mean. And what happens if an awakening brings it to 10%? So of all of the assets people own, 10% is in precious metals. Well, that's a 20-fold increase in what this industry has seen over the last, 40 years. So recency bias would mean that we are in no means or no shape to handle that kind of influx of demand. And you're beginning to see that. And so as demand increases, there are just a few places that can handle that demand. Miles Franklin being one of those places in the United States that helps people. And so if our lengthy hours of working has anything to do with an increase in demand and an expansion of that mean or that allocation to people's portfolios, I will tell you that we're getting close to maybe to that mean. We're heading to that 2.5% because it doesn't let up 7 days a week. We get phone calls Saturday night, Sunday night, and we're old school, Patrick. We're not an online company, although we are talking about adding an online feature. We're building a really nice new website right now, but we do things the old-fashioned way, by phone call and by conversation, not by click. And so our people are calling us all hours of the night, 7 days a week. So it's a blessing, no question about it, but it's also eye-opening. And yet most people in the United States wouldn't know a gold coin if it fell on their foot. When the awakening expands, kind of like what the Reddit group is doing right now, the Wall Street Reddit group is really expanding interest and understanding. Who knows what that'll bring, but we right now are at levels that I've never seen in 31 years.